All right, it's recording.
You want to mute everyone?
Please.
To do that, just go to the top. You see that option?
I'm not seeing you. I'm not seeing you at all. Yep. Yep.
Is it grayed out?
No, I just see mute me.
Okay.
You're still the host. That might be why.
No, you are the host. I'm going to give you more admin privileges than you have right
I appreciate everybody being patient and everybody being here tonight. Obviously, new technology. If we were in the meeting room or at middle school, it'd be very easy. But what we're going to do, and Michelle is working on this, is we will start the budget hearing in a minute or so. Those of you joining by computer online will be invited to submit questions using the chat feature. And once those are addressed at the end of the presentation, anybody calling in from the phone, we'll do our best to answer questions that you have on the budget.
Andy, should everyone mute while you go through the presentation?
We are working on that. I don't have that. I don't have that ability.
So individually, this is Dave Kelsey. I can mute my computer. If everyone else mutes theirs and you go through your presentation, that may be a little bit easier.
Yep.
Just a
Well, we're going to have to mute one way or another, David, so that's fine if people do that. We were going to mute everybody, but we're not. I'm not seeing it, Michelle. I can go down and mute people individually. No. I'm just going to honestly, again, at recommendation, if everybody could mute themselves, make it easier for us to get through this. Okay, sounds pretty quiet now. I appreciate that. I would like to start the budget presentation for the Lyme for fiscal year 20. Again, I would ask if everybody could find the mute. That would be very helpful. There is some background noise going on. Well, again, we're going to start. I appreciate everybody being here. Your Board of Finance in the town of Old Lyme, hopefully you can see the names on the screen, have done an incredible amount of work over the last 6 months and do it year round. Honestly, we meet each and every month. Also with our help of our secretary, Michelle Hayes Finn, and Nicole Stadlahar, our Director of Finance, and of course, the Board of Selectmen. Again, members of the Board of Finance held budget meetings from December through April with department heads, committee chairs, and our selectmen. We have specialists for each of these groups that meet individually with department heads and chairmen of boards and go over their budget in detail. Here we are on April 20th with a budget hearing, and the budget will be voted on May 18th. Obviously, this year is very unusual in how this is being accomplished, and we appreciate your participation. I think I saw 28 participants on there, which is probably a record for a budget hearing. And I hope my screen's not locked. Here we go. Here is the budget summary. Your total top line showing our current year. What's going on? I just lost the screen. Top line showing the budget request for this year of $9,815,000. About a 2.6% increase. That's for the operating budget. Capital outlay is a reduction to approximately 1.4 million, down almost 20%, bringing the total town budget to 11,248,995, or slightly down. We have Region 18's request. Our portion of Region 18 is up just over 0.5%, bringing the total budget to the 38,966,504. Now we'll go through areas of significant change. This is the revenue side of the budget. A number of the items that are changing in a positive way. Interest on investments. This part of the budget is almost $50,000, or over 4%. Senior center reimbursement from the town of Lyme, and transfer station revenue we're anticipating being up about $10,000. Intergovernmental, this is monies we get from the state or outside the town, is going to be down, but that's mainly because of two projects that we received last year, and work is about to start on the Mile Creek Bridge, and we'll be going on the Soundview sidewalks. That money was received last year, or this current year, and we will not get it next year. This is one-time only things. We have applied for a DOT grant of $345,000 for work on the Grassy Hill Bridge. You'll see a corresponding expense with that in the budget. Under general government, these are expenses. We switch gears from the income side to the expense side. In general government, increase of about 2.3%. Majority of that, as you can see, are the salary lines, as well as insurance. Insurance is a combination of our health insurance and some extra money for fire vehicle insurance. We have 2 new trucks that were put into service this year, so those cost more to insure than the trucks that were over 20 years old being taken out of taking off the insurance. Boards and commissions. Economic Development Commission study was done last year, and it's not scheduled for this year. That's the $44,000. And Rogers Lake, the RLA is Rogers Lake Association, weed treatment. Again, was done last year, not anticipated to spend as much on that this year. Public Works, a nominal increase. Park and Rec. The main reason for increase here is the increase in the minimum wage going forward for the seasonal employees. And then there's the WSB is White Sands Beach. There's a pump We share the cost of repairing that sits at the entrance to the town parking lot at White Sands Beach that fills with sand and gets plugged up. And we share the expense of fixing that with the White Sands Beach Association. Public safety is up, with a great deal of that being municipal police. Folded into that are wages, rangers, and a buyout for vacation and sick time. Social services and senior center. As you can see, this is decreasing by $139, but these were the driving factors beyond that. There is a copy of the full budget sheet available on the town webpage. It is best if printed out on 11 by 17 inch paper. If you try to print it on 8.5 by 11, it's very difficult to read. The capital project funds. These are the funds that we put money aside over a number of years for different projects. Reval, which is coming down the road. We need to increase that funding for the full reval that's coming up. You can see last year this current year, we spent a great deal on upgrading our technology. We're not spending that next year, so that's a decline. But we're adding another $70,000 to our road improvement fund, as well as apologize for the spelling error. It's supposed to be park and rec facility and equipment. That's just put money aside for things like playgrounds at our various parks. And then we're actually decreasing the amount next year going into the budget towards fire for our next purchase of fire apparatus and equipment. We received about $80,000 from the sale of the 2 vehicles that went off service recently. So that money is going into that apparatus fund. So we didn't need to put as much in there as we have in the past for the next vehicle that'll be purchased, I think about 6 years down the road. Grants to nonprofits. The 2 increases were the library for their operating budget. And then we put a place mark in there for Lyme Academy. All the other grants to nonprofits remain the same. Private Beats Associations, our annual grant to them to help defray their cost of security. There was no change in that dollar amount. Sanitation and recycling. We have an increase coming down the road to dispose of our trash. We're going from $83 a ton to $91 a ton. That's reflected in that $26,300 number. And the transfer station increases is salaries and fees for getting rid of recyclables. Debt service. This is an increase of $125,000, mainly to the principal, and that's a reflection on the monies that we borrowed for the library projects. The 1.2 million that we borrowed for the library project, we're starting to pay principal and interest back on that. Non-recurring expenditures under general government. The TH is town hall. So we've got a number of doors in our town hall that need to be replaced. We're going to be painting one side of the exterior. We're going to rotate in each year, paint a side of the exterior. We have some work to do on the heat and air conditioning system in town hall. We have $20,000 in there for sound view survey, which is to locate the town land in some of the alleyways down there. And the senior center is doing a study to look at the needs and uses of the building based on the programming that is at the senior center and what they anticipate in the future. So they're going to take a good hard look at their programming and what the needs are going forward. No change in the public works, capital non-recurring, and public safety. Um, a jump here, we're going to be replacing the doors and locks on all the fire stations. Not all the doors, but a number of doors at each station, and have a keyless entry system installed there. At the Boughton Road station out by Rogers Lake, we need to replace the HVAC system. We have air bottles that are aging out that must be replaced. That's a $25,000 number. And then every once in a while, we get caught in the situation of needing to replace two police vehicles in the same year. And that's reflected here. Cost for those vehicles about $55,000, $56,000 by the time you buy the vehicle, get it outfitted with lights and computers, radar, and all the necessary things our police officers need to be safe on the road. Public Works road projects. Decrease here, but here's where the Grassy Hill Road, you saw the income on the income side. Here's the actual gross expenditure. There's sidewalks on Ferry Road near the Congregational Church that really need replacing. That's in here. And then Public Works, the final touch there to finish off. Our Public Works Department's done a great job at with updating their facility out there, but the final thing that's really needed is to pave the parking lot at Public Works. So that brings us to the $36 million budget. As you can see, one of the things that's driving our increase up is our grand list. Our grand list has dropped about $40 million the last statistical reval that went on. So that's our taxable property. You see, we leave our collection rate at the same 98.25%, showing that the taxable grand list of the $1,519,000. Then we go drop down to what our net tax requirement is, $35,289,287. Carry that number forward. The adjustments are include tax credits for senior citizens, Lymewood, Ryfield, Hope, and our emergency services workers. So again, then that increases the gross property tax requirement to the $35,399,000. Question that gets asked is, what's our reserved fund balance, undesignated fund balance? As you can see, that has been growing. This has been a conscious effort to grow this, and the target used to be about 15%. That went away about 10 years ago. Then it was 20%. We achieved that. And then it was 25, and we've achieved that. Why should a town like Old Lyme have so much money on hand? Well, I think unfortunately this year is a perfect example of potential cash flow issues with the employment situation, the business situation in our country, but here in our little town of Old Lyme, that could impact people's ability to pay their taxes in a timely fashion. We still have to keep the town running. The other reason is because we're a shoreline community and we're susceptible to a hurricane or something, we've been advised that it's important to have that money on hand. We can make sure, again, the town stays in business, is able to take care of itself, fix problems that it may have due to a storm or a shutdown, and not have to depend on state or federal monies to do that. that we would be independent enough to be able to take care of ourselves, at least short term, and then apply for reimbursement. So here are some of the items that we have used this year to date, some of the funds for, and some of this has come out of like the land acquisition, the $803,000 was monies that have been set aside over the years. We set aside $75,000 a year for open space. Firefighters equipment, that 802 is the 2 fire trucks we've recently purchased. Again, that money was set aside over a number of years. But then some things that do come out of those capital, the reserve funds, are things like the library improvement, road improvement, et cetera. So this is how we've used since June 30th of last year, where we had $9,256,000. Some of the things that have come out of that fund since then are the Mile Creek Road Bridge. Additional cost was voted at a town meeting, $328,000. The Lyme Academy Strategic Plan, the Board of Finance approved that. Old Lyme Fire Department well signs was approved by the Board of Finance, as was the replacement of some fire hose that had tested out of service, and Harbor Commission money. So those are monies that were spent during the course of this current fiscal year. So that 9.2 million dropped down to 8.9 million. Now, of course, that's estimated for what the balance will be on June 30th. In past years, we've not spent our whole budget, so some of that money will go back into surplus, as well as, I don't know if there'll be any other allocations out of that between now and June 30th. So there's that current balance of 8.9 million. As part of this budget for 2020-21, we're proposing that we do take 800,000 from surplus, as we did last year. Some of the things that'll help offset are the capital items that you see below. So our budget request is for $35,399,000. It is approximately a 1.4% increase over the current budget. And that would put the mill rate at 23.3, or almost a 4% increase. What does that mean to the average homeowner? Examples on the screen. Or your home was appraised at $347,000. The assessed value is 70% of that, or $243,000. Currently, that homeowner would be paying about $5,400. With this new budget, they'd be paying about $5,662. And you can see those examples for different property values in our town. What other things might be coming down the road? Obviously, sewer project, pump station. What were all our costs? How much of that, if any, will the town be paying? Replacement of our trash cans, recycle cans as they age out, and possible renovation and expansion of the senior center. Those are things that are just, nothing's been decided, but there are things that have been discussed, and they may be a financial liability. So questions? What I'm going to attempt to do here is unshare my screen. And I still can't find a way, Michelle, if you can help me to unmute all the participants. I haven't seen anything in the chat.
Up to that
I
tab
don't
again.
have that
Use.
control on my. Yeah, I'm there. I see that, but I don't have any control to do anything but unmute people individually.
do that, Andy.
So if you'd like to say something, please unmute yourself. And we'll do our best to not talk over each other, but if there are any questions, be happy to try to do our best to answer them.
This is Steve Ross. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Steve. Yes, I can.
Yeah, the sewer pump stations, my understanding that the cost of that will be in the assessments for the people served by that sewer, the property owners served by that sewer in Sound View. So why is it an unknown in your presentation?
Well, we feel that there may be some costs that the town may have to bear, even if it's short term, until the project is complete and people can start. They will be being billed. I mean, we've been paying legal fees, et cetera.
So they would be reimbursed at a later date.
Correct.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Andy, Chris Kerr, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Chris. Thanks for being here.
No problem. Hey, just a curiosity question on the volunteer tax abatement. It went down this year, 39 to 31.
That, Nicole, I
think it
don't know
would
if
go
you're
down.
online. I'm looking down the budget.
Like 4 lines above the mill rate.
Yeah, it went down $8,000, and I'm honestly, I'll have to get back to you on that as to why that went down.
I wouldn't think it would be going down, to be honest with you. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'll check on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Any other questions? Wow. So the process going from here, the Board of Finance is not voting on this budget tonight. We will vote on it May 18th, I believe it is, which is the third Monday in May. Because of, normally that would be a town meeting, but because of the governor's orders, we will not have a public town meeting. We will probably do it online. We will do it online just as we're doing this. Certainly, if there's anybody out there that has any other questions that they after reviewing the budget that is online, I will also ask them to put this presentation up on the webpage as well. Please get to us with those questions. And I will, Chris, I'll get you an answer to your question on the volunteer tax abatement.
This is Dave with one question.
Who was that again? I'm sorry.
Dave,
Yeah.
in the event of a rough winter and you have a lot of snow removal costs, how does that get handled? Do you just spend the money until you hit the authorized amount, or do you go over that?
Our public works director is very good about communicating those things. If, sand and salt and overtime for that matter, we have to clear the roads. Obviously that gets done. And we have gone, the Board of Finance can authorize on a single line item up to $20,000 in additional expenditure. If it goes beyond that, it would have to go to town meeting. But we would not wait for a town meeting vote to get the sand and plow the roads and make them safe. We would have to do that, but that's Right now, our salt shed should be pretty full after this winter. So hopefully that's not a problem next year.
Very good. Thank you for the answer and good presentation.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Any other questions? Going once? Twice? Again, I'm not sure how many participants we had here tonight, but I do appreciate you coming out. May 18th is when we'll vote. But we thank you for being here, and good health to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ann.
Thanks.
You're welcome.